So, how's everyone's January? Hey folks, my name is Jen, and today I would like to talk about the books that I read in the month of January. For the month of January, I ended up reading 6 books in total, and overall, I pretty much enjoyed all of them. The first thing that I read, or actually the first 3 things I read, were finishing up the Chronicles of Prydain by Lloyd Alexander. I don't want to really go into too much detail with talking about these 3, just because they are books 3, 4, and 5 in a series. So in case anyone wants to read them, I don't want to give any spoilers or anything like that. First up, book 3 was The Castle of Lear. Pretty good humor overall, very thin as you can see. Pretty good humor overall. Liked the shenanigans that the companions get themselves up to. As per usual, love Flam the Bard. Just absolutely fucking love him. Just love him. Yeah, I really liked the humor. I liked the adventure. I thought it was pretty good overall. Very good lines throughout here as well. Taryn has continuing character development that I enjoy, and yeah, I didn't have too much to complain about other than the fact that there's a severe lack of Eilonwy within this book, but that's part of it. It's not really spoiling it to tell you that Eilonwy is put under a deep spell at some point, and Taryn and the companions have to rescue her, basically. So she's not in a good, I mean, it's not really that long of a book, so the amount that she's not in here is not that long, but at the same time it is. She's not there for a good chunk of the adventure stuff, exciting things that happen, which, yeah, that was just my main point of complaint about it. Otherwise, I loved this book. I love the fact that Eilonwy is fully against being made into a lady. Like, the reason she's going off initially in this book is she's being sent to a particular isle to be trained as a proper lady and a princess, and she argues that who the fuck wants to do that? She's already a lady, obviously. Why does she have to be taught to act like one? It's just, I like the fact that she's unabashedly herself the entire time. You know, even having to go off and be taught manners and shit like that. She's still like, who the fuck wants to learn that, really? So I enjoyed that. The next book is Taryn Wanderer, which I think is my favorite out of the entire series. It's pretty, it's different than the others, but there's still elements of the same kind of thing in the other books. You know, it's a quest and a journey and stuff like that, but at this time Taryn's growth is really shining through. He's coming into his own kind of thing. He's trying to be his own person. This book, he decides to go off on a journey of self-discovery, I guess. He heads off with Gertie and goes off on this journey to find his parents actually, or find where he belongs, because he was brought up by the wizard Dalbin in Caer Dalbin, and he has no idea who his parents are, and Dalbin's not willing to tell him, really. So he decides to find out his own worth. He has to go seek out his parentage. So this is his, yeah, basically it's a journey of self-discovery, and I really, really enjoyed it. The characters that he met along the way, like I said, the growth that happens for him over the course of the story. Parts of it are sad, yes, and then other parts are just so wonderful, and it's just such a very good story. I enjoyed myself the entire time I was reading it, and I really liked Taryn's journey to being a good person and being like his own person, and yeah, I really loved this, and yeah, I think it is my favorite of the entire bunch. And like, in case you can't see, there's a lot of pages folded over. Those are all the pages of like quotes that I really loved that I wanted to remember to write down later. They're just so good. And then lastly, there was the hiking. It took me a little bit to get through this just because I was so worried, and I had reason to be worried about how this was going to go, because I had a feeling that we were going to lose some familiar faces in here, and I was just, you know, it's the conclusion of the series. The big bad battle has to happen. The big baddie has to be dealt with finally. You know, everyone has to come together and fight, and it's a big like thing. And while I did really love this, like, Taryn's character development is just complete in this novel. He's come into his own, and he's like such a good, wise character throughout. So different from this like kind of stupid, rash, immature kid that was in the first book. He's become like a wise, kind, compassionate, very smart man, fully. I mean, I think he's supposed to be like 16 or 17 perhaps in this book. I'm not entirely sure, but he's come into his own is what I'm saying. And I really liked the way, the kind of person he became. I liked Eilonwy, and the person that she's become, while also at the same, still remaining like true to who she is. I loved seeing some old familiar faces come back in here. I really enjoyed this story, and it just hit me so hard in the feelings with some things. Like, I cried a couple of times while reading this, which I was not really expecting, because while I enjoyed this story, I didn't think it was having such like an emotional impact on me until I got to a couple of points in here, and I was just like, oh my god. But it was still really good. My one complaint about this story overall would be the ending. And while I liked the ending, there was an aspect of the ending that I didn't particularly enjoy, and I think that was because it reminded me too much of another very popular fantasy series that has an ending that I think is similar to that, and I can't say for certain because I haven't fully read that particular series, but what I know of the ending is in the same vein. I don't want to give it away in case anyone wants to read this, and I know if I mention the series it will give it away, probably, if you know the series. So but yeah, it just reminded me of an aspect of that, and that I didn't particularly like, because I couldn't tell if it was like stealing from it or if the other series had stolen from this. I don't know, but yeah, it was just very but at the same time, the rest of the ending, good. A little bittersweet, but good. And I really enjoyed the series. I really enjoyed experiencing it for the first time. Was great. I'm sure it's going to be wonderful whenever I end up rereading it, which I know I will. And I'll be very glad to share this with my kids whenever we have them. It'll be a good story to read them before bed, probably. So, ultimately, I didn't tell you what I rated each of them. Sorry, I'm using my new notes to organize them. Favorite character? See, it lists what's your favorite character in each book. Favorite character, let's see, listed in Castle of Lear, I have Fluter Flam. Listed in Taryn Wanderer, I have Taryn, shockingly. listed in the High King. I said, Taryn, Alonwi, Call, Lion, Fluter. Yeah, loved everybody, pretty much. This was 4 stars, and these two were both 5 stars, but we know my favorite is this one, but this is still pretty good too. Not a bad conclusion. The next book I read was actually a poetry book. This was not on my January TBR, but as you saw in my December holiday book haul kind of thing, I did pick this up. This is a poetry collection by Rudy Francisco. I absolutely adore his poetry. To be honest, I've never read one of his poetry collections before this. I found out after I ordered this that he had another one, Helium, which I plan on picking up as soon as my book buying ban is over. But yeah, so I've never like actually read his work before. I've only watched him perform it in like button poetry videos or like stuff that he posts on his Instagram, and I absolutely adore all of it. Like, I just love the way he expresses things. His poems are so hard-hitting and just emotional and sometimes kind of funny, and also I just, they're so beautifully written, and I absolutely adore them. I loved this a whole lot. This book, like, there's a couple in here that I was reading and I actually like verbally was like, damn, right in the middle of reading them, like it just popped out of me. I really liked how he set this up. It's kind of set up with words, like a dictionary, kind of. He made up his own words and definitions of them, and then have like poems that are kind of either using them or in the theme of the words that he made, and I just really enjoyed that. He also did a lot of these erasure poems, which is something I honestly have not seen before in an actual poetry collection. I remember being taught about these in like high school, I think. Yeah, it was my I think it was like my AP literature class, because throughout the class we did like we covered poetry for a section of it, and one of the things that we did was looking at erasure poems, and then I think we had to make our own, because I think I remember taking a copy of Bud Not Buddy and just going through and taking only so many words or whatever. I don't know, it was cool. I really enjoyed the erasure poems. It was very cool to just see what was taken in, and to be honest, I don't really know, I don't know the lyrics to this Mac Miller song. I didn't know the lyrics to this other thing in here, but I thought it was, well, I do know the lyrics to Ed Sheeran because I'm trash, but, you know, it was just very cool to see how they differ or take on a different way of expressing kind of the same idea as in this song, but not at the same time. I don't know, I'm not explaining this correctly, but it was very cool. One that had me saying damn in a big way was this, which is the NRA statement on Texas-Ohio tragedies. This is their official statement, and then this is the erasure poem. So the official statement is just saying some bullshit about our deepest sympathies with the families and victims and blah blah blah. NRA is committed to safe and lawful use of firearms by those exercising a Second Amendment rights and blah blah blah. You know, bunch of bullshit basically. And he took this and made an erasure poem out of it, and it says, "These firearms will not protect us from horrific acts." And I was just like, holy fuck. Like, I love it. It's just on point. And yeah, I just really, really enjoyed these a lot. These were very hard hitting. It's like very much on topic, and just in a couple of them are like in your face, and I fucking love it. It's just great. It's just so well done and so impactful, and I really loved all of it. I have a lot of them that I think would be favorites, I guess, but I think my ultimate favorite poem out of the bunch is called Uwani. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I'm so terribly sorry if I'm not. It says, "We don't say I love you very often, but we do say, have you eaten today? I imagine, somewhere in an alternate universe, there is a language where those two things have the same meaning." And that's like, I mean, I get that. I get that in a big way. Because I believe this is about his family. And I really like understand that, because like my family, like we all obviously love each other, and like there's like with my parents and stuff like that, we express that a lot, but with like my extended family, we don't really say that to each other that much. I guess it's more of like a given. Well, obviously, you know, I've noticed before that when I say it to them, like actually when I said it to my grandparents, it was like they almost felt taken aback. Like, it's like, well, obviously, you know, we love each other. Why? It was almost like, not that they weren't, it was like they weren't expecting it, because we don't really say I love you to each other ever, really, that I can think in my life. It's not like a bad thing, it's just, it's more of a given, like, well duh. But you know, it's just not something that's expressed. I feel like I'm not explaining this correctly, but I felt this, because it's like, we don't say I love you very often, but we do say have you eaten today. It's like a different way of expressing that love, and I understand that, because like I said, with my family, it's not so much have you eaten today, although that would be one way that my grandmother would kind of express it, but it's more when you're leaving, when we're like leaving each other, like we're going home or we're doing something, it would be take it easy. It's something that we'd say to each other. We'll take it easy. And it was kind of an all-encompassing, like, be careful on your drive home. Be careful when you're out of my sight. I love you. Be careful. Like, that kind of thing. It's like, I don't know. So I've related to that in a big way. Like, I felt that in a big way. I felt a lot of these in a big... I loved it. I loved it. He's, like, really expressing, like, you know, political things, societal things, like, how it is to exist in today's society, how it is to exist in today's society as a black person, how it is to exist in today's society when things are so violent and you have fucking Trump. Like, it's such a big impactful thing for such a thin book, but it's just wonderful, and it reminded me again why he's one of my favorite poets, and I can't wait to get his other collection when I let myself buy books again. And I just love his poetry, and I'm so happy to have read this collection. I'm so happy to have this collection, and so happy that they have like a signed copy of this collection. I'm still fangirling over it a little bit. I just love it. I gave this 5 stars. The next book I read was When No One Is Watching by Alyssa Cole. I took a while to finish reading this because my anxiety was getting ramped up super big while reading this book. Just because some of it seemed like it was so real, like it was something that could possibly happen. But then once I really started getting into, I think I was like, where was I? 4 or 5 chapters in, and then I was just in. and had to. I stayed up extra late finishing this book because I tried to set it aside and was like, no, I can't. I've got like 4 chapters left. I have to figure out what the hell's going on, or I'm just going to be up all night freaking out about it. This was very good. I have a lot. I don't have that many pages folded over in here because once I got into it, I wasn't stopping to like pull them down and be like, oh, I want to think about that quote later. I was just like in it. A lot of things were happening in the first section, but were not at the same time. It was like they were happening, but they weren't happening at the same time. There was definitely stuff going on in the background, but it didn't feel like the exciting parts really pumped up until a little later in the book. And I know I saw that was a complaint by some people about how it's very slow going for a lot of the book, which I can see. But like I said, there's a lot of stuff that's kind of happening and you just gotta really take it in because it's like a slow kind of move. Well, not really slow, really. I don't think that much time has gone by between one section to the other, but it's just it moves along very swiftly despite it being seeming like it's not because of the thickness of the book. I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed the characters. I really enjoyed getting to know them and getting to know their kind of relationship occur. And I really liked learning more about the history of Brooklyn, basically, and the history in New York City, because I don't really know that much, frankly, about it, and I didn't know about some aspects of this before. Like, I had no clue. Like, there were some things I had no clue about some of it, and I now want to look up more history because it's just not stuff that's really taught in school at all. Like, I was never taught any of the background in here, which is a shame, and that's part of what should be taught in this country. You should see everyone's history, not just certain people's. So I really liked that aspect of it. I do have to say things got very crazy at the end. I wasn't too bothered by it just because that happens with mystery thrillers sometimes. Things get like not so. I like the climax. But, yeah, some of it did seem a little bit kind of out there, but not that bad. I think my one major complaint would be the ending just kind of ended. I wasn't too bothered by it, but at the same time I was expecting just a little bit something more rather than just kind of where it ended. Overall, I enjoyed it. It was, when it got crazy, it was like a fast-paced, crazy mess. I was not expecting some of the gore that was in here as much. So I would say if you have a problem with descriptions that, I mean, it's not super gory, but some of the descriptions that are in here were just like, ooh, like that. So if you have a problem with that at all, that's something you should know. But ultimately, yeah, I thought it was a very exciting read. I thought it was a very important read. I definitely can see where they were getting the comparisons to both Get Out and Rear Window. Well, I haven't seen either of those. I know of them, so yeah, I can definitely see where the comparisons come from. They are very much yes. But yeah, ultimately enjoyed it. Good read. I gave this 5 stars. And the last book that I read in January was kind of a letdown, but not at the same time. I honestly, I still haven't decided how I feel about this book. And that was Endless Night by Agatha Christie. So this is a toughie. As you can see in my notes here, favorite character, I have no fucking clue. This ending was entirely unexpected, and I've had that happen before with Agatha Christie books. Like, the conclusion was kind of felt like out of left field. I wasn't really sure where it was coming from, but then I looked back over it and was like, holy shit, she's a fucking genius. This was crazy. I will have to read this again at some point and go over different sections of it so I can see where the conclusion came from, because I was fucking blindsided. I was not expecting that. I had a hard time with this book just in the aspect that I didn't really like any of the characters. Well, I take that back. I liked Ellie, the heiress. I kind of liked Ellie. I did not like anyone else. I didn't like Santanex because the architect, he kind of creeped me out. I didn't like the main character, who was a narrator, Michael. I thought he was kind of a manipulative fuckhead. I didn't like Greta, who was Ellie's companion, maid, I don't know, whatever. A person that rich people have that just follows them around. I didn't particularly enjoy her either. I thought she kind of sucked a little bit, and then the other characters were kind of cursory characters. Michael's mom you see a little bit, and she's kind of a tough old bird anyway. And then you get like just random other characters. I didn't really enjoy Ellie's family that much, and like I guess Ellie was basically the only character I really kind of liked, even though I didn't fully like her at the same time. It was a complicated book to get through. It's really complicated. It's really hard when I don't like any of the characters that well. It's really hard for me to care what's going on. But I was still sucked into it. It's, for such a thin little book, it's such a crazy shit that happens in here. Like I said, that ending, like we got along to like, I don't know, page 170, like 170, 171, and I was like, ooh, shit. And things just kept getting crazy, and then you can see it separated into 3 books. And then, like, this chapter's kind of weird, and then this chapter's kind of weird, and then this chapter's kind of weird too. And I'm like, oh, interesting. And then chapter 23. Shit got fucking crazy. This is kind of interesting. And wait, what's happening? And then you get onto page 218, and I was like, wait, what the fuck? And things just got super crazy. And I was like, what the hell? So, yeah, I'm not articulating myself well enough, but all I can tell you is that I don't know what the fuck happened in this book. I'm still confused. The ending surprised the fuck out of me, and then when I thought about it more after I finished reading, I was like, holy shit, she did it again. She's a fucking genius. I don't know if I hate this book or if I love this book. I can't quite tell yet. I did give it 4 stars, so that's something. But, I need to talk about this with someone who likes this book, because I don't even know. It just blows my fucking mind, is all I can tell you. It's just crazy. So that is it for the books that I read in January. Hopefully I talked less than I normally do about shit, but y'all know how I like rambling on about whatever. I hope you all had a great reading month. I hope that you are having a great reading month right now, and that you are hopefully doing your part into looking more into history and stuff like that. It is Black History Month, so I hope that you are also doing your part to broaden your horizons and look into things if you have not so far. Anyway, have a great day, guys. See you in the next video.